Ladies and gentlemen, in a perfect world, we live our best life. Our fantasies become reality, be they professional or personal, or maybe even erotic. Well, we don't live in a perfect world, and many or most of our fantasies just remain that, just fantasies. We live in autopilot, we do what we've always done, and we hope that our fantasies come true. Okay, how's that working for you? Are you not telling your partner your desires for fear of rejection? Are you holding back professionally because you're not sure if your ideas or your lifestyle will be accepted? Can you step into an alter ego to let you get what you want? Well, the answers are yes. And we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about seduction as a second language. My name's Frank Zaccari. This is Life Altering Events. My guest today is Melissa Van Oss, who has created a couples coaching program, which she calls Seduction as a Second Language, from the boardroom to the bedroom. Let me tell you something about Melissa. She went from, these are her words, she said, I went from a very conservative, prudish, small Ohio town. These are her words, not mine. And she said it had one traffic light and there was more soybeans than people. She left that world and joined and found a judgment-free life alternative style in Washington, D.C. So Melissa, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. So Melissa, we spoke a little bit a couple of weeks ago. What was it like going from small town America to Washington, D.C.? That's a big change.
Yeah, I mean, DC certainly has more than one traffic light. That's for sure. I think just my little neighborhood where I live now probably has more than my hometown, put together. So it was definitely one of those things that it was somewhat of a culture shock, but, not too overwhelming in the sense that it was a good thing. Like, I like the idea of the, going from a place where I always had to drive everywhere in my car to, oh, wow, there's like this metro thing and I can just ride on it and it just takes me where I need to go, kind of door to door. Like, this is pretty cool, and the people are definitely a lot more diverse and interesting. And, so there's just so much to take in this new place called DC. So I sort of, adopted this mindset that, you know what, I'm here, I'm going to just start trying different things. I'm just going to go on adventures, and see what happens. And as a result of that, I ended up in this sort of rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland kind of scenario happening where this guy that I was dating at the time sort of introduced me to this alternative kind of world, and, said, hey, would you be interested in possibly going out to this club where it's very open-minded, it's for couples, we have to be vetted to be allowed to come to this party. It's a private guest list only event, closed off to the public and that kind of stuff. So he really gave me all the words I needed to hear initially to hear about this different kind of idea. And then we went into it that, well, this is sort of like what they call a lifestyle party, where there's other couples there and, you can go and just be free to express yourself however you want. You can just, feel like if you want people to watch you, they can. If you want to watch other people, if you want to be involved, you can. So it was kind of a strange and surreal conversation to have. But I feel that even though I grew up in a small town, I was very conservative. I always felt like there was definitely more, outside of where I grew up. So I did want to experience and see those different kind of things or things that seemed, so different than what I had been used to. So I said, okay, well, that's fine. As long as we go in and it's not like people just like walking up to me and like grabbing me or, like
Right,
doing
right.
things, doing things that I don't want because I'm afraid, but I'll try it,
Hmm.
So we went to these different things, and it just sort of started to be one of those things that I was like, this is kind of interesting. I like exploring this big city kind of life.
Hmm. That's wild. You were telling me about these various parties. They had various themes. Tell us about some of these.
Yeah, so the great thing was, and I think this was really smart by the couple who started this group, this private group, is that one of the easiest ways to sort of get people to be a little more comfortable, in this unknown environment that's kind of a little obviously outside the box, is to let them feel their most comfortable and confident. So one of those ways to do that is through the expression of like a theme or a costume. It's much easier to go out and be, Wonder Woman for a day or a night, or Batman, and take this other persona on, to kind of like get yourself to be a little more comfortable in the situation. And
Mhm.
so we had various themes. From the first one I actually went to was the Halloween party. So there could be anywhere from 150 to 200 people sometimes at this huge warehouse space that we would have these parties in. And, I thought I was being really cool and like super creative with, my outfit that I put together, walking in. And then I look around the room and I'm just like, wow, there's these head to tail, like Cleopatra costumes and Spartans walking around, and like, goddesses and cheerleaders and football guys and just any creative thing you could think of. And it was like, that became almost an easy way to interact with each other, because if you just walk up to someone, it's very non-threatening to just be like, oh my gosh, I really love your outfit. That's so creative. How did you come up with that? So it kind of, makes it a little easy to get engaged. So Halloween was a huge one that we would do. We also had some masquerade balls that were amazing. And those are also fun too, because if you've gone for a little while to visit and start to know some of the same people that, would come as regular guests, then when it was the masquerade party, it was kind of fun to see if you could actually guess who the people were based on their masquerade mask that they would have on. So I like to do little social experiment games like that personally, to be like, okay, I know that this is what they normally would kind of wear, or, this is the box they would fit in. Let's see if their mask, match, or if they just come with something totally outside, the norm.
Mhm.
So those were always really fun. And then in conjunction, the owner or the people that ran the events, they also would do an annual like fetish type of ball for people that would skew more towards those type of things. So that one for me, I would say between kind of the two, as far as being like a new person or an outsider going in with an open mind just to see how it would be. That one to me was a little more like, okay, okay. Like, like I
This is
again, like
interesting.
like I thought I was really coming with it with my outfit, and really being like, yeah, I'm super dominant and sexy and, like Catwoman like, inside, hear me roar. And then, I see this, gentleman who's like 6'7" in high heels towering above me, clad in this, very like leatherish or something kind of outfit. And I was like, wow, okay, but again, everyone you talk to, very professional day jobs, super top level, like a lot of 1% type crowd, very affluent, college educated people, a lot of people who you probably wouldn't think might be walking around, in these kind of environments are definitely there for sure.
Right. Now you mentioned there's rules and everybody obeyed them and there was consent.
Yes. So that's a big thing, is when you go to the lifestyle party, there is like we said, the guest list, you're vetted. But the most important thing that I found, which really made me like comfortable enough to say, okay, like I'm a country girl from one traffic light town, and like we're told you don't do these things. Like bad things can happen if you do certain things, right? So I needed to know that, yes, there's like a code of conduct. So if, for example, you walk into one of these events or parties, it's not as if you walk in and immediately people are gonna like club you over the head, and drag you off to the cave, and just have their way with you. No, you actually like have to talk to the couple or the person who you're interested in. You do your usual small talk, to get to know the person, and if everyone's feeling like it's a good match and the chemistry is starting to be there, then you actually have to, for example, if you're a man wanting to kiss another woman in another relationship, you have to ask both that woman and the man if it's okay if this happens, and vice versa. So you have to definitely talk ahead of time with your partner before going there, because you want to make sure you guys are like, honey, today it's our first time, so we're just gonna watch people, and then maybe next time we might kiss each other, and then if we feel comfortable, we might dance with some people, and then if we feel comfortable, like then we might kiss the girl, so it's a lot of like preliminary engagement and conversation, so that everyone going is always on the same page, so that no feelings get hurt. There's no, things that come up that you weren't expecting, because now you're in this new place and it's kind of like, oh, wow, paradise, let's go crazy, like, so it's, you have to ask and you have to get permission. And, the great thing with that too is, versus like what I call a normal, nightclub, is being that you need permission to sort of move forward with the steps. In my opinion, it's a lot more comfortable than, say, if I went out to a regular nightclub here and there was some guy getting a little too, tipsy that just wants to keep talking to me. And I politely, said, no, I'm not interested, or no, I don't want to give you my number. And they just kind of keep bothering you, to sometimes the point where you might have to get stabbed, or the bouncer or something like that. But in these situations, like, there's no fear or worry of that at all, because everyone is starting out automatically on the same page. And if there's not a green light given in all directions by every person, then it's like, okay, we're going to proceed with caution, or we're going to just watch what's going on. And that's how our night will be today.
Wow. Now, eventually you started to host these, and you created this alter ego. Tell us about this alter ego.
So, so I created my alter ego. His name's Bella. And I love Bella. Like, she's really awesome. Like, she has so many friends that I don't have. She's had like so many adventures that I haven't had, like she has inspired my confidence level to go from pretty okay to like probably too much off the charts sometimes, like in that sense. So I really learned that in kind of harnessing and like playing with this alter ego side, that it's really helped take away a lot of those roadblocks, or like mental chatterings, or the monkey mind that some people say, right? And the fear of rejection and judgment and all those normal hangups that we have are like kind of melted away, because the alter ego, Bella, in my case, she doesn't really care if you like her or not. Like, I'm not going to purposely try for you not to like me, of course, like, but at the end of the day, that's okay if you're not feeling my vibe or my energy and we don't match, like it's fine. Like, it's no big deal. I, as the alter ego, am just wanting to have fun, explore all these different sides to myself, step outside my comfort zone, be pushed, into these fish out of water situations, which I've learned so much from. So the alter ego, of course, is you, and you are the alter ego. But as a result of playing with these sort of almost taboo ideas sometimes, or thinking outside the box, or going on adventures that I would never do that, kind of moments, that you end up being more confident. From that confidence, I've sort of became like a pseudo role model, for a lot of these women and couples that came to the parties, where they would be like, if you could walk around in a tutu and fairy wings head to toe glitter, then I probably can do some little thing, and at the end of the day, for me, like if my alter ego can inspire other people to push outside their comfort zone, and the alter ego has also done that for myself and making me become more authentic and being able to connect with the people I'm supposed to connect with, then I've really cherished like all the experiences I've had as a result of creating this like character. It's kind of funny when I think about it, actually, but I love being, my alter ego. And at the end of the day, once you play with this idea, you become all those parts and you're not afraid to show them, which is really, I think, like the main reason a lot of people do create that.
Yeah. After we had spoken, I was doing a little bit of research on this alter ego thing because I like the idea a great deal. And I find out it's very common for a lot of entertainers. Beyonce, Serena Williams, Freddie Mercury, they all openly spoke about this alter ego when they would go on stage that allowed them to get outside of what their normal persona is or their normal personality and build this image. Is that what you found doing this?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, it's funny, since you and I spoke, I looked and did more research too, because, it's like how we always think like it's our own inspired idea to do something. And not that I thought alter ego was like my own idea, but sort of like the public display of it more so. Yeah. So seeing like artists do it, musicians do it. And I think, yeah, the thing about it is that it really allows you to step outside your normal conscious mind, where you really, kind of do care, or we try to fit into society, whether it be at our jobs or these, spouses, obligations and things like that. And so we try to stay within our lane and the way we're supposed to behave and things like that. But as I said a little before, the alter ego, they don't really care about any of that. Like their whole purpose is to not stay in the lane, is to, go away from the pack, take the distance where, it's never crowded if you go the extra mile. Right. So the alter ego just gives that person the permission to go literally outside everything they would normally do and not feel or care whether people like it or not, and just truly express those things that are coming up. And what I found with that as well is being the alter ego and playing in these moments or coaching with people or hosting the parties or things like that. Those have really been those moments where I personally have been able to get like into what they call, flow state, where everything is like moving very fast, but kind of slow. And, things are more vivid or things are more surreal. But the main point being is that you're not thinking of anything else. Your ego, your ego is now gone. Your own personal ego is gone, but you have to have that to get into like that mental flow mind state. So Dawson Church calls it the non-local mind. You have to get away from that state to attain the local to non-local mind. So both parts of your brain are talking together, but not in hindrance of each other or any of the blocks that are like danger or pay attention, or get on autopilot or come off autopilot. So it really like taps you into the flow state, taking you out of autopilot, nation, where you just don't know what's going on. So as you evolve into that, you experience all these different levels and insights and different things that you never thought before from just doing that.
One of the things that we spoke about is the number of very high level, very successful people living very high structure, high stress lives who would attend these parties. Okay. What were they looking for?
So type A personalities, right? The bosses, the overachievers, the 1% crowd, all day long, they're the ones being in charge, right? Everyone's coming to them for their decision-making or praise or, their money or their time, their resources. That's all during the day. Then they go home to family, and there's all the demands, responsibilities that go with that too. So what I found is that people that are in this ultra successful, high level kind of stratosphere, what they really crave and need, honestly, more than anything else, a lot of times is a mental break. A mental break from being the boss, that's exhausting, and I'm kind of glad I'm maybe not a man sometimes, because I feel like as men, there's even more, things that can be on shoulders from just the gender side of things, and like traditional roles and a lot of things like that. So it's like, I feel kind of stressed out on my own. So I can only imagine if I was, this high level CEO juggling multi-million-dollar corporations. So they just need that time to say, you know what? I don't want to be the one in the crowd and leading the charge and leading everyone. I want to be one in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be kind of anonymous now. Like, I want to just be homogenous. I need basically a mental break.
Mm-hmm.
And in these moments, they can really start to let their hair down. They can be in this judgment-free, safe environment where it's okay to not be that guy or that girl or, whatever your day job is.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me personally, I make it a point, even like when I would be hosting the parties or just meeting people in general, because I found DC is a very, hi, nice to meet you. What do you do?
Yes.
Kind of town. And
yes,
I'm sure other big cities are like that too. But I just don't like it's fine to know what people do, because we're all trying to figure out what's in it for me and wheel and deal and all these things, which is totally fine. Seduction's part of that process too. But it's sort of like, let's share and get a little more out before we need to know what you do. Right. So it's sort of like that marker, that label, that thing that they always have to be as far as what they do can go away for a while.
Right.
And they can really just have, normal conversations that don't respond or relate to those things, and just be in the moment so that they can literally have that mental health break. And for a lot of people, like, they find it almost to be, their form of therapy in some senses, because there's not a lot of places or spaces, in our modern days and lives where we can actually just go and just be in the moment and not, worry about all these things that we have to think about all the time.
That's right. That's absolutely very interesting, because there's so much. I dealt in that world for not at that level, but I dealt in that world for a while with the high level executive role, and you are exhausted, and it's nice to just not have just be in the group, not be the one everybody's, well, what do you think of this? How are we going to handle this? Now what do we do? All right, just let me relax. I think that's so important. Now, as you were observing, you started observing all this behavior, very intelligent young woman, and you said, wait a minute, we could put together a couples seminar idea. And this is where the seduction as a second language came from. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us about these seminars.
Yeah. So, in kind of being in this world, observing and different things, I said, seduction can be something that everyone can learn more about on different levels and be able to use it in our everyday life. And so when I thought about it, I said, if you really break it down and learn the tips and the tactics and the concepts behind it, seduction in and of itself is its own language.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the seduction as a second language came in, because when I'm done with you, hopefully, or, if you just get on this path on your own, is that you'll start thinking and seeing and looking at the world through a seduction lens, so that it does become like a second language to you. And so with the coachings, I have done things with the couples, for example, where we'll dive deeper into what particular things their partner might be into, right? So that we can sort of like dive a little deeper into, well, what's the psychology a little bit behind why this person would be into this? Because a lot of times one partner will be into something that's kind of skewed a little ish off their normal scale of the spectrum, but it doesn't always mean that they wouldn't be interested in pursuing that. They just like, they don't know where to turn or what to look at, or they go on the internet and look at a few things and it's very scary.
Yes, it
And
is.
you quickly forget that idea, you know. So we'll go into those sort of things and dive in a bit deeper on that. And then as we look at the overall concept seduction as a second language, I'll walk you through the hierarchy of seduction that I created as the foundation for seduction as the second language. And at the base of the hierarchy, we start with the mindset. And once we talk about the mindset and the importance of that as our building block and our foundation, then I'll walk up through the other levels in the pyramid so that we can start to develop what I call your seducer's eyes. So that everything around you you look at things through your seducer's eyes, where things take on that new perception of, okay, this could be used in a seduction kind of way, whether it be, you know, getting out of a ticket, you know, like using your charms to get out of a ticket, or to actually get your hubby to go away for the weekend or something like that. And then, so we dive into that. And then the ultimate goal with seduction as a second language, with the coaching and then the concept, is that you'll ultimately develop what I call the seducer's aura. And that's where, you know, we're at the self-actualizing level. If we're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs as well, like his top levels are most enlightened self, where we are able to be in tune with that. We're able to understand all the dynamics that lead into that mindset. So at the end, with the seducer's aura, you're then able to have that, you know, that it factor that you feel with inside yourself, that you know, and you can, as a result of learning about your confidence and all these different steps along the way through the hierarchy, you're able to know how to turn your seducer's aura on or off. But most of the time it'll be on, because now you're just like, that's part of you. Like it becomes part of who you are, like when it's the second language. And then most recently, I added onto that concept so that people can continue if they want to do a little less intensive type of work, and they just want to do some more of the fun, sexy exercises that go along with that. I'm launching the Sexy Recipe of the Month Club. Mm-hmm. And that is where I'll provide more motivation, support, we'll have a sense of community and things like that. So there'll be like monthly ways to keep you engaged and keep you going. And I'll provide a sexy recipe of the month. But if you're like me, it's fine. You don't have to be a culinary master, like a cook, to do any of my recipes. There's be fun exercises that you'll learn. They'll do a challenge each month to try it out on their significant other, to just test it out. And then with each quarter, the theme will kind of change. So that way, for a few months or so at a time, you'll be able to build some momentum and, you know, see how the little pieces start to work together with that part of your sexy recipe collection. Mm-hmm. And so that is a fun, more practical way to kind of keep the seduction as a second language going, as well as with the coaching program too.
Wow, this is really interesting stuff. Now, you pointed me to a statement from Dr. Jack, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, Moran. Is that correct?
I think so.
And his book is The Erotic Mind. And he wrote that intimacy is endangered by the desire to know every detail of the other's dreams and fears. What's that mean to you?
You know, it's one of those things that when I read it, you know, so many years ago, when I went down this road, I went down the research rabbit hole of different things, you know, and started putting my hands and reading everything I could. And it really struck me as, you know, that is probably one of the most important things to know about as far as with long-term relationships. Mm-hmm. Because if we are in a relationship, you know, of course we want to know ourselves, right? Go inward, know ourselves so we can be a good partner. And then we want to know our partner on a deep, you know, intimate, spiritual, emotional level as well. But that doesn't mean at the same time that we need to know every little thing about them. Mm-hmm. like there's no air of mystery that is really left in that sort of situation. And it's kind of like, if say you got into a car and you're driving down, right? I think I've seen this in the movies from California. You tell me if I'm wrong, but you have the California coast, right? Where all the winding roads and the cliff is over here with the water beside you. And you're just go down the road and all of a sudden your brakes fail, your steering is shot, you're out of control, and at any moment you're going to crash off the cliff into the water. And that's pretty serious and scary. Like, you wouldn't go down the road without checking your car out, or drive a long distance without having these safety checks and these tune-ups made. But people do that with their relationship all the time. They're just cruising down the highway and they think, well, now we put the ring on it and now we are good to go. We love each other. We're committed to each other. We're doing this. It's fine. I'm on cruise control. I'm on autopilot. I don't have to do any more work. Well, that's kind of silly, right? Because you're going to need maintenance, or something's going to happen. You need to pay attention to traffic. You can't just fall asleep with your car on autopilot, so that's kind of like a recipe waiting for disaster, because we get into a very comfortable, which is good from like the emotional standpoint of things, but we get almost too complacent, right? Like, we don't care anymore about looking nice for the person when we go out or they come home from work. And we don't make it a special point to go out for date night. Or if we do go somewhere together, it's like, let's throw on the sweats and let's go, so the mystery is sort of gone in that way. So when you become over familiar, you've lost part of that really important element that creates dynamic, romantic, passionate relationships. Is that little romance. And it's like almost going on a first date with someone. And then you say, let's get to know each other, and you're on a date for like a couple hours. But that person comes with their like book of me in their hand and hands it to you like a CV of their accomplishments and says, you know what? We don't need to talk for the first hour of this date. Just go through this. And if everything seems good, we'll continue the date. Like, this is me. Like, you wouldn't want to go back on a date with that person. Like, that's crazy. That's too much information at one time.
That is.
So, even in your relationships, you kind of have to almost think of it like that. You look at your relationship more like a good movie or a novel, and you want to have it to keep turning the pages or keep watching it to the end, right? Like, there's nothing worse than watching first 2 minutes of a movie or reading a few pages in a book and be like, I already know what's going to happen at the end.
That's right.
There's no reason to keep tuning in, right? So, that's how we need to look at our relationships. And when you become the director of your own relationship seductions, then you can put that seducer's eyes in, or the seducer's perception out there. And now the whole world can become like your playground, an endless playground of possibilities for seduction.
I love your statement about being on autopilot. Having been divorced, because probably I was in autopilot, not as engaged or as present as I could have or should have been. You do little exercises with some of these couples when they come in, and you gave me an example of you have them come dressed a certain way and then go from there. Explain that.
Yeah, so I really had noticed that it seems hard, especially for women, to get in the position where we're actually vibrating and emitting out our confidence, and not feeling like we have to stifle it, or if maybe we don't even know how to bring it out, for whatever reason. So there's a lot of reasons, why we're not as confident as we all could or should be. So I kept trying to think of like, well, what makes me feel my most confident? And for a lot of people, obviously, it's how we dress or how we look or put ourselves together. So the exercise I came up with is to have the woman specifically dress in, I'll tell her, go to your closet and just pick out your ugliest outfit that you hate. Or it even could be, like you're cleaning the house clothes, your gardening clothes, like just if it has holes in it, probably that's better, like whatever you would not want to be seen in public in, like wear that. And they're looking at me like, you are like pretty crazy, like already, like, but okay, like we'll go along with your shenanigans and see where this, develops. So
Mhm.
in conjunction with that, I say part 2 though is bring along your outfit that you feel you're most powerful, you're most empowered, you're most confident, you're most sexy, sensual, dynamic, whatever adjectives you want to be, your best version of yourself, wear whatever that makes you feel like, translate those words into clothing and a
Mhm.
whole look for me. And I want the whole look. I just don't want part of it. I want, if you're going to wear accessories, and makeup and the hair and the whole nine, I want all of it. We're not going to half believe
Okay.
it, so when we meet, I'll ask them, once they have on the first outfit, the crappy outfit, how's this making you feel? And they always look and like make the face,
Right.
like, why did you make me wear this? Like, I was looking forward to coming here and meeting you, and now wearing this. I'm like, okay, so go in now, write this down, I'm going to note it or you write it down, depending on, how we're doing it. And now go in the other room, excuse yourself, and go change into the part 2 outfit. And it's honestly amazing how just changing your outfit and from one very extreme to the other, you can visibly see the person change, like physically, like they walk different, they hold their head different, their voice is stronger, like they're smiling more, their eyes are actually lighting up, so when they're in that and they feel that, I said, now how's this feeling, right? So they start to tell me and describe all these things that are coming up as they have that. And I was like, perfect. I said, now wouldn't it be great if you can always feel that way, like whenever you want to? Well,
Exactly.
yeah, of course, of
Mhm.
course we all want to, right? And I'm like, well, now that you just saw how you could go in and flip the switch or go from, Bruce Wayne to Batman or, Wonder Woman, or Catwoman, now you can practice that. You can start to like bring that out more naturally without even needing that outfit. So the outfit kind of starts as a little bit to flip the switch, but ultimately, it can dissipate away and not be the crutch because you just want to be able to get into that naturally without needing that whole thing. So it's
Wow.
more powerful
Yes.
and impactful like that.
As I've spoken to you and as we've talked today and I've read your stuff, it seems, now let me see if I got this right. The art of seduction is more about gaining confidence beyond, it's not just the sexual seduction. It's about having confidence to take that with you in the bedroom to the boardroom, as you said in your book. Is that true? Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yes, yeah. For everything with regard to seduction, you have to start with the mindset and the confidence piece. Because if you don't have confidence in that part of it, then it's really not going to work. And for me, I kind of use a definition that's a little bit different than some people do. And I like to use that concept that Robert Greene talks about in the book, The Art of Seduction, where seduction is a mindset that's basically trying to stir someone's unconscious mind and through persuasion, essentially. So persuasion and seduction to me are the same. They're one another same. Same thing, you could put seduction and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very one and the same. Seduction psychology. So once you sort of realize that seduction is about like mindset, understanding yourself and how you operate, but then you turn that mirror out to someone else so you can really see them through the nature of human nature, then you can start to see through those layers. And instead of you being persuaded all day one way or the other, now you can be the one to persuade, because every day we're being persuaded to buy a car, buy a product, buy this coffee, stream this service, go on a date, you fill in the blank. So you're either being persuaded all day or you could be the one persuading too.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use those same skills again, whether it's in your business world for negotiations, being the most charming person in your office, and people like doing things for charming people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, to me, it brings out a little bit of like when you're nice and confident and positive and interact with people and different things, it almost brings out like what I call like the hometown kind of effect. And like a lot of people in DC, they definitely will ask me, even though I look like it, like I've been asked, am I from New York? Because I have like a look, but when they talk to me, a lot of times they'll say like, you're not from here, are you? And it's just a matter of, my confidence is there, so I can just talk and just let my natural whatever come out. And so the same thing when you start looking at seduction as the second language, and build that confidence, it just sort of like happens like kind of naturally.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Melissa, this has been just an enlightening conversation. I think it's going to be something that people are going to just love listening to. But we're just about out of time. And with all you've accomplished and all the metamorphosis you've personally gone through, what last words do you want to leave with the viewers around the world?
So I would say, don't be afraid of seduction. Don't be afraid of what it is, what it could be, what it means, what it is, and what it isn't. Take the concepts and the ideas and really start to focus in on it, because it will definitely help you in so many areas of your life at the end of the day. And for me, I always just keep saying this because it's just the truth of how it is. I am a small town country girl, and if I can do these things, anybody certainly can do these things, so if I can be brave, you can be brave. If I can feel the fear and do it anyway, so can you. If I can jump in the deep end of the pool and I don't know how to swim, but doggy paddle, you can too. There's a world that will support you. I will coach and be a cheerleader for you, certainly. And I love inspiring people to take these dives and have these adventures. And, for me, seduction is my passion. It's my way of life. And I want to inspire that in others to have bold, adventurous spirit, a seduction spirit, so that you can have more passion, you can have more happiness, you can end boredom in the bedroom at the end of the day. And if you, go on a journey with me through seduction as a second language, and the Sexy Recipe of the Month Club, it's my hope that you'll be able to start to adopt that seducer's aura as well and make an impact on those around you. So I am just really grateful for this opportunity to talk with you today, Frank, and share art of seduction with everyone, and hope everyone, gets inspired and starts going down their path of seduction too.
Wow. Well, thank you, Melissa. This is incredible. And as I mentioned, we're just about out of time. I want to thank you again for sharing this incredible story, this inspirational story. And I think it's going to motivate a great number of people to start looking at seduction with a different set of lenses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what life throws at you, and it's going to throw a lot at you, as we've just heard, please do three things: look up, get up, never ever give up. Pick up the pieces, start moving forward, and better times and better people will come into your life. If you'd like more information about Melissa, you can go to her website or contact me, and I will make sure that it gets to her. Okay? You can see this show on Roku TV or on my YouTube page, Frank Zaccari. And I will send links to Melissa as it becomes public, and she can put it all the places where she posts her information. If you use the YouTube channel, please subscribe. Let me leave you with this one last thing. None of us are in this alone, and the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, Melissa showed us where many of those rocks are. Join us again next week. We discuss another life-altering event. Thank you.